David Smith here with another Flipped Classroom math video. Today's topic, how to get the most points possible on the equally wet POW, or Problem of the Week, which itself is in the Orchard Hideout unit. Let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go over the guidelines that I published for this assignment. Okay, so we're starting on the front page of that. You have actually already seen a couple videos on the various components, the problem statement, the process, the solution, and the self-assessment. So this document just gives you pretty much the same information I gave you in that video. I want to take a look at the top. Here is suggestions. Number one, follow these guidelines for the best result. In other words, if you ignore the guidelines and just do what you think you should do, you'll probably miss some points that might even be easy points, but because you didn't do it, you won't get those points. Second thing, ask for help. There's nothing wrong with getting help on this POW. Third thing, when you think you're done, reread the guidelines just to make sure that you got all the things. Pages 12 to 14 in the textbook also go over how to do this POW. Okay, so what I want to do is cover one thing on this page, down towards the bottom, communication and organization. Your work needs to be well organized and clearly communicated. I can't guess that you know what I think you might know. Your words need to speak for themselves. Additionally, you need headings on your document, on your paper. So problem statement, process, solution, and self-assessment. Those are the four headings that you need. Organize your material under those headings. Now let's scroll down to the next page of this document. Here is the handy dandy grade sheet. This is the document that I use when I grade your POW. So as I read through your work, I have this in front of me and I put check marks in this area depending on how well you did. So for example, if your problem statement is easy to understand, you're going to get a check mark right here under all. If it's totally confusing and I can't tell what you're doing, it might be towards few or none. Same thing, you've got to include all the details and you need to use geometric terms, no flowers or sprinklers, for full points. So I'll be looking at this section when I grade your problem statement. And it flows on from there. Your process needs to have a detailed explanation of all the steps you took, talk about your stuck points, talk about help that you received. Okay? And notice how here over on the right are the number of points available to you for each section. So sticking with that, you'll notice that the solution is worth 7 points. The whole POW is worth 14. So the solution is half of the credit. You want to answer all parts of the problem. Remember, there are 3 questions. How many, where do you put the sprinkler for 2 flowers, for 3 flowers, and for n flowers? You need to discuss all 3 of those. Points are awarded depending on how correct your solution is. Now don't worry, if you couldn't get solutions for all of them, you could still do quite well on this section. You'll just need to explain what it was that you couldn't do and maybe make a suggestion for how you might accomplish this at a later date. Your solutions and your geometry must be clearly explained. Just because you use the right vocabulary words, I won't assume you know what you're talking about unless your words clearly indicate that. Finally, since this is geometry, you need to have some diagrams, geometrical types diagrams labeled with distances that you know, things like that. Hint, perpendicular bisectors play a part in this. Finally, on your self-assessment, you need to give yourself a letter grade. This is a very common mistake. People leave that out. You need to also justify that grade. If you did a really poor job on the POW, you left out sections, don't give yourself an A because you know that it's not A work, okay? You also want to reflect on your new learning. What did you learn on this POW? And that can be math topics or related topics. And then finally, you want to state an area that you could improve on the next time. Some people say, oh, I should start earlier so I have more time. Other people say, oh, I should have the teacher look at my POW ahead of time to catch any mistakes I might have made. All those things are valuable. Finally, at the bottom, we talk about your writing being legible or prepared on a computer. And here's a hint, prepared on a computer. It's a way better process and you can get a better grade by doing that. Your writing needs to be clear and easy to understand, Correct grammar and spelling is important. As long as I can understand, I won't ding you for poor grammar, but if your grammar is so bad that I can't understand, then you will lose points for that. And then of course you need to organize it well. All the items need to be in the correct order. It starts with problem statement, then process, then solution, then self-assessment, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll score you using this grid, putting check marks in whichever column I feel most applies to your work. What you want is check marks in the all column. That will get you 100 if you have them there. If you do so well on a certain aspect, you'll earn a check mark in the exceeds column. And sometimes if people do really well in one area, I'll use that effort to give you back points you would otherwise lose in another area. So it's worth trying. Finally, I'll list your points here, and then at the bottom, I'll summarize your total, calculate your percentage grade, and give you a letter grade. Finally, at the bottom, this checklist is an easy way for me to give you more feedback on your work. So when you get your POW back, you'll want to look and see which items I checked there and address them. And of course, if you have any questions about how I grade your POW, I welcome you to reach out to me and we can have a discussion. Occasionally, I might be convinced that you did a better job than I originally thought, and I would change your grade for the better. That's all I've got for this. Thanks for watching.